1 minute, we're almost there. Okay, we are live.
All right, I guess I get to do the honors of welcoming everybody. My name is Ellie Mitchell, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the AIB Pillar 4 Advisory Board. We are a small group today, and we actually do not have a quorum. So I think we're live streaming, if I am correct, Rachel, to provide some brief updates and then to reschedule our meeting for future. I will introduce our guests so I can kind of preview then our agenda for this rescheduled meeting. So Carissa Aaron Carlson's from the University of Maryland Extension SNAP Education Outreach. We're really looking forward to having a presentation about SNAP education because it dovetails very nicely with efforts within Pillar 4 to reach our families and students with important supports and services. And Rachel, I don't know if you want to run through some of those updates that we are also going to share, or how we want to, and then also we do have other members here, both of the AIB and of our advisory board. So I'll let everybody introduce themselves before we jump into those updates.
Perfect.
So Tara, I don't know if you're in a position to be able, I know you're in the car.
No, I'm good. Tara Burhans, Strategic Initiatives Coordinator, Blueprint Coordinator for Washington County Public Schools.
And hi everyone, I'm Joseph Mako. I am I'm a AIB board member.
I am Rachel Amstutz. I am part of the AIB staff, Operations and Policy Director. I can go ahead and jump in and give a few updates. I'm not sure, Ellie, if there are specific things that we wanted to talk about, but I can just kind of update where we are, what's happening right about now.
Yeah.
Great. So, and Joe, would you want to give an update about the outcome measures work group? Put me on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to do that one now, or do you want me to do a couple other highlights first?
Yeah. Why don't you do some highlights first, and then I'll. Yeah. And I can...
Perfect. Yeah. So some things that are currently underway, we are preparing to submit the LEA blueprint plans to the board for their approval. We anticipate that to occur at our July meetings, and they'll be submitted as a complete packet. There's been kind of two parts of the process, which has been the full plan review, and then separately the career counseling MOUs that are being developed between local workforce boards, public schools, and community colleges. So both components of those will be submitted to the board for as many LEAs as possible at our 2 July meetings. Other things that are happening, we are working on some updates to the blueprint implementation plan, which are due before the August 1st board meeting. So that's been underway with input and feedback from lots of different stakeholders, and just through the processes that have gone on this year, things that we have found that need to be enhanced or defined further or added to. I think, Ellie, you and I got a chance to talk a little bit ago about a topic area of interest here for Pillar 4, which is the special education work group. And in the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan, it's identified that the membership of that group was to be determined here before July, and that is getting very close to being done. So there's lots of good forward progress with that occurring, with membership being identified and kind of setting up the structures of the group. And we anticipate that that group will begin in July, and it will run similar to how the EL work group went, where there'll be topics identified ahead of time. There'll be experts or practitioners around the country and world maybe that would be brought in to discuss different areas. And so we're on track to meet the deadlines that were established, or to very closely meet those, with identifying membership of that group and then getting the overall outline of what is hoped to be accomplished, set and established very soon. All of those meetings will be live streamed and available for the public to watch. So we're looking forward to that. Those are some of the biggest things. The other big thing that I've been enjoying doing lately is trainings for our expert review teams. And we had essentially last year, MSDE identified membership to serve as expert reviewers for the expert review team process. And they are, they did not go into schools last year. There were some pilot visits that were conducted by MSDE staff, but the expert review teams were trained, but the pilot was delayed a little bit. So this year they will be getting retrained. And the first part of that training was with AIB staff this past Saturday, Tuesday night, and tonight. And so there's about 140 members who have been trained with the component that the law calls for the AIB to do, which is the providing the foundation of why expert review teams and a little bit of the how. And in particular, we've been talking with them about the phased in nature of look-fors of items. We can't go into a school this fall and expect the full blueprint to be implemented, but talking about what we can expect to see implemented. So it's been phenomenal getting to meet the people that are on these committees and to be able to have conversations with them about what look-fors they might be seeing or how they might identify and find information. So that's been really exciting to watch this get off the ground. And we're really excited to collaborate with MSDE to see these visits begin likely in October, once the schools are back in session and settled into routines. So lots going on here at the AIB. We do have 2 staffing updates. We recently brought on our executive assistant, special assistant, Shawanda Smith, who is phenomenal and has been helping us just take on a little bit of Graham's work and then a lot more. And then yesterday, a new employee started on our team, which is our deputy director of operations. Leland Carson will be joining our team, or has joined our team. So we're really excited to be growing and to have more really dedicated people on staff helping us get the work done. So I think for me, those are some of the main updates. If there's any questions, I can take those as well.
Rachel, just a clarification that comments on implementation plans, at least the local implementation plans, are due tomorrow.
Correct. And there's links on our website to feedback. They are on the homepage. You can find the links and click on the images on the carousel that scroll across to find the correct form to provide those links or to provide that feedback.
Great. All right, Joe, I think you're up.
All right, so yeah, this has been quite a long slog at this point, because the outcome measures work group, we first met at the end of February and have consistently met every 2 weeks for 2 hours since then. So we've had many meetings to go through and try to cobble together what are what the committee would, the work group would forward as the key measures in which the success of the blueprint should be evaluated. And our the time for the group is coming to a close, because really we had people had committed to serving through the end of July in preparation for the August update of the comprehensive implementation plan, in which the integration of these measures was going to be a really key component of the comprehensive plan update. So, we're looking actually in pretty good shape in order to at least have the measures outlined that the work group would recommend that we focus on. And then in addition, we're asking how many of the current members of the work group are interested in extending beyond the July timeframe to begin, after the measures have been approved, working on the identifying the baselines and then charting out the metrics. So, what are the targets for, what are the statewide targets? What are the targets for each of the LEAs? What are the targets amongst each of the LEAs for the various subgroups? So, I think that element of the work will, continue to be pretty tedious and complex. But, I think the first phase of this, which is what are the measures that the work group would forward as the most critical for evaluating the success of the blueprint. And then also, there's these pillar level outcomes, which are, at the end of the day, the kind of big measures that we're hoping to move. But trying to figure out, well, what are actually the leading indicators that would, that would spur on movement on those kind of like more comprehensive measures. So, I think some of those comprehensive measures will be lagging because, it takes time to go through and, help to kind of build out and establish a robust teaching force. It takes time to go through and, build out a robust mixed delivery system. So, I think some of those pillar level outcomes, I think the results of those will be a little bit delayed. So, a lot of the conversation was around, well, what kind of measures will we see, more immediately within the next, 2 to 3 years that would indicate that in the long term, some of these larger measures that we're looking to move, we feel fairly confident that we'll have movement on those. So, it's been a little bit of a delicate dance trying to figure out what those leading indicators are, and then which ones to elevate and prioritize in a way that we would want to, have it, more, have it public facing on kind of like a dashboard system so that the public can go through and see the progress that we're making in relationship to the targets that have been established.
And
So-
Joe, will the
Uh-huh.
whatever this sort of draft framework is, will that be out for public comment or for at least sharing so that people
Yeah.
kind of know what the direction is?
Yeah, so I think our next outcome measures meeting is going to be next week on Friday, so it's July 7th, and I think at that point we'll probably have a pretty we'll probably have a more a working document that will be available for feedback and review. But
Great.
I think the other thing too is we've been having kind of continuous feedback loop throughout this whole thing. So actually each week when we go through the measures that we are looking at, one of the processes that we've put in place is we've had basically like a Google poll where there are the variety of measures, and each work group member has gone through and had to elevate which ones they felt like were the most critical, and then basically rank them, provide some level of forced choice so that the work group members can prioritize what they feel like are the most important measures to keep an eye on. And that's been an exercise that is required of the work group members, but it's also available to the general public. So, each week the general public can go in, log into that Google feedback form, and they can prioritize their own, outcome measures to identify what they think are the most critical elements.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Kara, do you have any questions for Joe?
I do not. Thank you, Joe.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Thanks, Kara. Your hands.
Krista, do you want to give us like just a not the full presentation, since we're gonna have you back when we have the full board, but maybe a preview of what we might be hearing from you in the future?
Sure, yeah, and thanks to the advisory for having me. I'm here on the behalf of Maryland SNAP-Eds. We're a federally funded nutrition education program administered through University of Maryland Extension. And, you know, our target audience are low-income youth and families, and a large percentage of our work happens in schools and early childhood sites. So when you talk about concentration of poverty, that is where we are trying to work. You know, our goals are around health and wellness in terms of healthy eating and physical activity and healthy beverage consumption, but it very much intersects with that sort of holistic support that's embedded in the community schools model, and making in learner readiness and attendance and all those things that make sure that kids can show up for school, be successful. And so we've already started partnering with community schools. You know, we've existed for about 20 years, working in partnership with low-income schools, but we to deliver our nutrition education that aligns with the curriculum, but we really see an opportunity to deepen the work through working with community schools, that we can reach more schools, leveraging that sort of you know, service coordinator aspect that comes through the community school coordinator to really provide really in comprehensive supports to families around nutrition and physical activity. And a big focus of our work too is addressing sort of the physical environment and how the school building and policies and systems can provide supports for choosing healthy behaviors. So I wanted to get in next when I get the opportunity to present to some of the specifics and what that looks like, and what some of our existing partnerships with community schools and school districts in Maryland look like, and then invite feedback and ideas from the advisory or from anybody watching on how that we can be a great partner to this work.
Great. So we can look forward to that. Our future agenda will also include some discussion about our terms and constitution, right, Rachel? When we meet again, which I think we'll have to take the scheduling of offline just to make sure we have the full participation of all our members, to make sure we get availability, because summer is just tough, as we all know, finding times to be together. I know I have some travel dates ahead of myself. I hope everybody does, because everybody should take breaks and have time off. So
yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, Ellie. Basically, we had some folks on our advisory committees whose terms were expiring on June 30th, and our board voted to extend those terms by 2 years to keep terms staggered, so that next year we'll have some folks whose terms expire, and then the following year some folks will expire, with the caveat that all student board members will have a limit of 2 years of service. And so on this particular team, we have one person who's unable to continue serving. So, and then on the other teams, it was like 1 or 2 per team. So we will be doing a recruitment to fill any of the vacancies. We anticipate that it's going to take at least a month here in the summer, it took a little bit longer than that last year to get the word out, get the applications in, and then to go through the process to be able to identify new members that represent both the state geographically and diversity wise. And then also there's a lot of different lenses that help us get perspective in each of the pillars. So we'll be looking carefully at people's fields of experience, background expertise, et cetera, to try to find the just right matches. So everybody can keep a lookout on our website. We will do an email to our entire news list. And then last year, we also did a press release. So we might, we'll get the word out through all of our partners about how to apply, and then we'll fill these vacancies. And then our board does ask that once each team is back up to a full 6-member team, that there's a conversation about the team leadership. We don't dictate how that has to look at each team. Some teams do a co-chair, vice chair. Some do 2 co-chairs. Some teams may elect to keep the same leadership. Some may elect to step back or to open it up to other people. Totally up to each individual team. We just ask that each of the advisory committees make time to talk about that, and then we'll move forward and figure that out. So both with scheduling another meeting and then with adding a person to the team to fill a vacancy.
Great. I'm really looking forward to having the information about how to join so that we can promote that widely and get some new and great and diverse voices on these
Yes.
advisory boards. So that is good news. I don't think we have any other business since we are rescheduling.
Yes.
So with that, I think I know we don't have to, we're not Robert's rules or anything. I don't have to move to adjourn, but I will just say I look forward to bringing everybody back together when we have the full board membership.
Perfect. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.